Happy fall, y'all. It's September 22nd, the first day of fall. It is a breezy 73 degrees here in San Antonio, or at least it was 73, may have gone up a little bit. I am the South Texas Stitcher. My name is Becky. Welcome. If this is your first time, I hope you enjoy hearing what I have to say. If you're coming back, thank you. I'm surprised. I'm shocked. People still want to listen to what I have to say. When I tell my family that I actually have people who subscribe, they're like, why? I said, because they want to see what I do. And they're like, oh, okay. Because I can tell my mother about my stitching, and she'll ooh and ah, but she doesn't want to sit and talk about stitching. She does very little things, and so she's not a big stitcher. And then nobody else wants to, unless I make them something, nobody else wants to sit and chat about stitching. My husband likes to see my progress, especially if it's something big, and he'll talk to me about it, but it lasts about 5 minutes and he's done. So I don't have anybody I can sit and chat with about stitching, about new patterns and old patterns and thoughts to come and just all that kind of jazz. And I think Flosstube, even though I'm talking to you without a response verbally, that helps. And I really enjoy this. I like watching other floss tubes. I was watching Jan Hicks Creates just a little bit ago, and I watched Barbara's daughter and Niecy Lynn and somebody else. Their name escapes me at this moment. When you turn it on while you're doing housework and running in to see the projects and stuff as they do, because sometimes I'll just listen to the part where they talk, like right now, and then I'll sit for the actual stitching time part, and then I'll get up around towards the end. So if it's a short video, and I believe the person I watched had a short video, I don't usually get as involved into it, even though I prefer short videos, and I know the last couple of ones I've done were not short. I'll watch all the ones that are like 30 minutes and less first, and then go on to the longer ones, because sometimes the long ones, they're talking about other things that I'm just, kind of zone out on after a while, especially if they get into knitting. I am not a knitter. I don't like knitting. They tried to teach me when I was young because I crochet, but knitting, I hated it. I did, I think, 20 rows of knitting, and it came out this tall. And they said because I'm used to crocheting, I was making my stitches tight. And they kept saying, you need to relax your stitching. And I was like, but I did. They're like, no, you didn't. Otherwise, it'd be more like that tall. So I gave up knitting. My sister knits. I crochet. I cross stitch. She and I both sew. She embroiders beautifully. My embroidery still looks like I'm in first grade. I could never get some of those stitches to look good. I forget French knots. French knots are evil. I'm sorry. And don't tell me to do a colonial knot, because I don't care what they're called. I can't do them. Put a bead there. Just give me a bead. It's the first day of fall, as I said, September 22nd. For South Texas, that just means it's September 22nd. We don't have a lot of color changes and stuff. If we go to a state natural area, which is like a small state park, it's called Lost Maples. They have a group of maple trees there that only grow in that area, and I forget exactly what kind of maple they are. It's like a sugar leaf maple or something like that. They actually turn colors. Those are beautiful, but you have to make reservations to get into there, because we went once without making a reservation, and the line to get into the park came out of the park, down the side road, down the little highway, and we weren't even beginning to be close. And so we turned around and came home. And I said, hey, we could see the trees along the edge of the park. They were pretty golds and reds. But that was it, because usually in Texas, things go from green to brown. And if it's been a hot summer, our green to brown is like in July and August. This year we've still got green. I forget where we were. Oh, we were going down to the coast a couple of weeks ago, and that was one of the things that we commented about, was that we were surprised that between San Antonio and the Corpus Christi area, which is where we were traveling through, it was still green out there, and usually in September, late August, early September, it's just brown. So we were very surprised. It was a pretty day that we went, so it was nice. So since decorating for fall here is not quite like as robust as it is up north or other out of Texas states, or even North Texas. North Texas gets cold. North Texas will have changes of colors. South Texas to us is like, eh. But I do have, this is my fall decorating. Don't laugh. I have seen y'all's pictures on Facebook and on Flosstubes and stuff, and it looks like Hobby Lobby moved to your living room or to your dining room or wherever you're videoing. As you can see, nothing behind me has really changed. I did buy recently a little pumpkin candle from Hobby Lobby just because I like the smell. Not necessarily because it was pumpkin, but I like the smell. And I have one other little oh no, it's not a pumpkin. It's an acorn. I have a little acorn candle that I got for free. Yeah, I think it was free from a Hallmark store several years ago that I only light during power outages. It's the only time I really like candles. I'm always afraid my cat's going to mess with them. And then I do have a wire framed pumpkin, which I haven't pulled out yet. I don't know if y'all remember the old, they were like, it was like a store that was done by local ladies and men. It's called Home Interior Decorators, or just Home Interiors. And they would go to your house and they would pull out all these fancy pictures and little figurines and floral stuff and candles and sconces for your wall, and you could decorate your house, and they brought it to your home. It was kind of like pre-Hobby Lobby, pre-Michaels. And I have a pumpkin from there that I have, and it's like this big. And I'll pull that out and put it on my dining room table in the fall. Once again, I put anything on the dining room table, and my cat thinks it's a free-for-all. And this pumpkin has got this really nice spray of leaves that I have babied for years, that I've had it to keep that little twist in the spray, because I don't know if I could ever replace it. He thinks when I put it on the table, he should jump up on the table and try and eat those little plastic flowers, and he and I have a battle royal. So, as I said, don't laugh. Here is my decoration for Halloween. It is that big. It says Texas Treats. And as you can see, my satin stitching for the pumpkin. I think I should have put more than I think I did 2 strands. I probably should have done a couple more, maybe 3 strands to make the pumpkin. But that's it. That's all my Halloween decoration that's a picture. Then this one I keep out. Should have dusted it. I keep out from now until Thanksgiving because it doesn't say anything to do with Halloween. It's just pumpkins. And I recently gave this little pattern away. It was a zippy. And these are, I don't know if you can see, that is Pro Cottons. It's not regular DMC. And the kit came with a little button, but it was just a little thingy that I had. And this has been in this frame for years now, and it still has a little bit of the fold of the from when I had bought the fabric. No, I'm sorry, from when it was folded in the kit, because even the kit fabric came with it. And it was a zippy. It didn't take me very long. So, and I think originally that frame had a picture in it that it fell over and the glass broke. So I bought a new frame for the picture. I think it was a graduation picture of somebody, and kept a little frame. And when I made my zippy, and I was like, I don't know what to do with this because it was so small, and it was before all the little pillows became popular. I was like, hey, I wonder if it'll fit, and it fit in that frame perfectly. This is my big Halloween stitching. This was a freebie from Just Cross Stitch several years ago. It goes on my couch. It's just a nice comfy pillow. I made this, even the ruffling And I don't know if you've ever ruffled before, but ruffling is not fun. This was, I believe the designer was Michael Vickery, and as I said, it was a free pattern from Just Cross Stitch. If you had a subscription to the magazine, you could download the magazine online also, plus you would get the hard copy. And then you would get like this little newsletter. I want to say it was monthly, but I think sometimes I got it every other week. And they would do a free pattern. Well, this was the free pattern from Michael Vickery that they did one year. And I like the little eyeballs coming out of the houses there. And the bats. Those bats, I didn't think I was ever going to get them done because I would stitch and I'd get carried away and I would go too far with the black or too far with the gray. It was like, ah. And then the witch, that was a lot of black. And in hindsight, I should have done her as an outline first and then filled her in, because I think somewhere up in here I made a mistake, but I don't remember where it is. But she looks like a witch, so I'm good. But yes, that is my threesome Halloween or threesome autumn pictures. That is it. I decorated, or I'm decorating. You're not going to see big sprays and bows around. I just don't have a house that's big enough for that. When my husband was a minister, the last parsonage we were in was huge. And I could decorate for that. But even then, I didn't decorate really for Halloween. My metal pumpkin I had on the hearth of the fireplace. I didn't have the pillow in those days. And I think I did have the little zippies, and I had the little kitty. But beyond that, I didn't decorate for the holiday, for Halloween or for fall. But once Christmas hit, then that's when my house went poof. But since now I live in a little teeny house, I just don't have the space for something like that. So a lot of my Christmas stuff I've given away to various people and stuff. My parents moved several years ago from a big house into a small one, and their stuff was still in storage, and it was around Christmas time. So I donated to the cause, so to speak, a bunch of stuff to my mom so that she could decorate her house for Christmas. And when she tried to give it back, I said, no, you have it. You have to keep it now. Because I didn't want it back. So anyway, I want to say thank you to some lovely ladies. This I got from Teresa. I had sent her Death by Cross Stitch, and she also got the Zippy Pumpkins. This was a lovely card. Thank you. Thank you for the little sentiment that you wrote in here and everything. I love that. And then also I have received a card, and I love this card. This is Old Roses, and I love that kind of a pattern. It is just gorgeous, and I know she didn't know that when she sent it to me, but this is from my Zoom stitching friend Sylvia, and there's more from Sylvia later on, but I just wanted to show, this is a lovely, lovely pattern. And I was looking at that, and I thought, wow, no, I would never want to cross stitch that. I was also like, absolutely not. Nope. I do have a little bit of haul. I actually filmed this yesterday, but I was in another room. I had all my computer and everything set up in the other room, and I filmed it in there. Everything sounded fine and everything until I started looking at it. I love yellow. A yellow room. A yellow house. A yellow Texas country farmhouse with the white gingerbread. And it's, to me, it's just gorgeous. With the red front door. I mean, that is just awesome. And we have one bedroom that's painted yellow with white crown molding and stuff to kind of give it that country farmhouse look. I filmed in there. I do my Zoom meetings in there. That's why my stuff was in there still. And I was looking at it and I went, oh my gosh, I should not be photographed against yellow because it is not a good look for me. No! Sorry. he must be in the video, I guess, sooner or later. He's not happy with me this morning because he didn't get what he wanted for breakfast. It's like tough toogies. So anyway, the yellow video, while it was done, sounded great, had everything in it. Y'all would have sent me messages and asked me if I was dying or, you know, very ill or something like that. But anyway, I do have some haul. And this is something that came out, I believe, at Market. My LNS got some in the other day. This is from my brain just shut down. Fat Quarter Shop. That's the packaging it came with. But this, it's got everything that you really need. It's got your corner gauge. It has a little teeny ruler. And then here, and here, those are stitch counters to tell you, you know, what kind of fabric it is. And it even tells you here what size needles you should use for your the different size flosses and how many threads from the skein you should pull out. So this has got a little bit of everything on it. Years ago, I had a corner gauge, and I have an old ruler that has the stitch count stuff on it, but there's two separate pieces, and they don't go up as high. This goes up to a 32 count. It's got 10, 14, 16, 18, 25, 28, and 32. I think the other one that I have has 10, 14, 16, and maybe 28. Because it was a flat, floppy, plastic-covered ruler, and it actually was a ruler where it was 12 inches, and then it would have, like, in centimeters, 12 inches in centimeters, and it would do, between that, it would have, like, you know, a little section of each, the beginning of each one for the different sizes of fabric. But it was not real not easy to use, just because it was floppy, and you've got the fabric that's moving, and you just need to make sure you laid it down flat, and then you had to wiggle it. It was a pain in the rear end. So anyway, I was really excited to get this. As I said, it came from the Fat Quarter Shop. I got this from my LNS, Stitches from the Heart, here in San Antonio. So they do carry some of that kind of stuff. Then something else I bought, like I needed something else, but I have to admit, as I was told y'all before, I love buffaloes. And MarNic Designs has come out, sorry about the crinkling, let me take this out of the package here for a second, has come out with a series. This one's called For the Love of the Land, Return of the Prairie Master, and I love that buffalo. I love the fact that he's not a solid brown. I love the fact that he's got these little doodad designs, and they're not anything in particular, they're just little circles and little triangles and stuff. The heart is done, everything else is done in DMC except for the heart. It is done in Water Lily's Garden Greens. So it's a silk. And I don't usually do silks, but we're going to give this one a try. And this picture looks big, but the whole stitch count is 76 by 73. It is 4 3/4 by 4 1/2. It's not very big. So this is going to be probably just a little pillow. Yes, because my my other location for my buffaloes is in a bathroom, and I don't want to hang him in my bathroom. I already have cross stitch in that bathroom. But I love this little buffalo. They had wolves, I think a deer, eagles, and that's For the Love of the Land. And then they also had some hearts that had whales and dolphins. Was there a seagull? I forget. But they had, there's a whole bunch of MarNic and right now, and they're all these little hearts. And if you're into that kind of thing, or if you have like a particular animal that you like, that's a place to go and look for them, because you might find a small, as I said, buffaloes are very hard to find. And so I have one now, and I'm very pleased. And while I was at the LNS, just what do you think you're doing? Go away. Now he's going to go pout the other end of the table. I think I've said before, I cannot cut a big piece of fabric. I get these beautiful pieces of fabric, and I don't want to cut them into smalls, because who knows? I may have needed that color fabric for a big piece for something else. And then I've got a big chunk cut out for a small, and I'm like, I just can't cut a big piece. It just kills my soul. So I've got all this fabric stash with no plans for any kind of pattern on it, but I don't want to cut it. And I've got smalls everywhere. Somebody was asking me once about not doing smalls. I said, well, I don't have fabric for it. And they're like, but you have fabric. I said, yes, but I don't want to cut it. Well, when I was at my LNS yesterday morning, before I did anything else, well, no, I have to admit, I took the car in for an oil change, which just happens to be a couple of blocks away from the LNS. So after the car oil was changed, I went and played in the LNS for a few minutes. So they had in their little scrap bin, they had these little pieces here. These are 9 by 10 squares, 28 count. And this will work great for some smalls. And probably the Return of the Prairie Master will be on one of these pieces. No, he's not going on these. I know it's going on these. I have to go look for the pattern. Return of the Prairie Master, I forgot about this. This was an odd piece. This is called green. It's not really green. But if you think about wherever you live, I'm pretty sure you have, somebody has a field someplace. So, you know, especially when the grasses start to go from green and they start to die down, they get a goldish green color to them as the grass dies down, especially if you have anything, a hay field. If anybody has haying near them, this is that color. And this is called green. I think it was a Weeks Dye Works. It's 30 count. Actually, that's a better color than it was showing up yesterday. Yesterday, that yellow room was really killing it. That's pretty much the color. And it makes me think of grass in the fall. But the Prairie, I think the Prairie Master is going to be on this. Since he's a little, I may actually just see if I can stitch him today. I haven't decided yet. The Drawn Thread Autumn, which I had planned to have done by today, has not been started yet. Y'all know we have tropical storm. It didn't make a hurricane, I don't think. Tropical storm Beta is in the Gulf. Anytime we have tropical storms come, we get very humid because it pushes all that water this way. Well, San Antonio is built on top of an aquifer, which means we're already humid because we have all that moisture underneath us coming up from the ground. So between tropical storms and hurricanes coming from the south and moisture coming from underneath us, it gets very humid here. That's why when people come here, they die from the heat, because they'll tell me, well, in Phoenix it was 100 and something and we didn't feel like this. It's because we have all this moisture. We don't get any rain, but we have moisture. It's weird. And it makes my hands swell and it makes my hands hurt. And so I don't stitch as much as I probably could. If I go to a store that's got like my LNS, which has got heavy AC, it makes the moisture level go down, but I freeze to death and then my hands are cold and then I can't stitch. It's a vicious cycle. So I haven't stitched a whole bunch here lately, but I have done some. But that was one of the reasons why I didn't start autumn, was because my hands were bothering me. I did pick up all the floss stuff for it. I wasn't going to show this until I got the fabric in. Let me tell you a pet peeve. I order fabric or a pattern online. Usually I like to go to my LNS because I can go in there, touch it, feel it, pick it up, and go home with it. I ordered the fabric for this. It should be here Ha 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 ha. Who knows? My pet peeve is this. I get this message that says the shipping label has been made and it should be here in 3 days. So I go and check it again to see, where it's at, because I figure, it's 3 days later, I should be getting it in the mail anytime. Go and check that post office number. It's still sitting at the store because it has not been picked up. And it says awaiting, this label is awaiting to be put into the Postal Service section. I had something like that from Silk Weavers that lasted a month and a half. That made me a little nuts. I don't like that. Don't make my label until you're going to put it in the mail. Oh my God. Because if it says I'm going to get it in 3 days, you're just destroying my soul when 3 days later I find out you haven't even left your store yet. Oh my gosh, don't do that to people. Make the label, put it in the mail. I used to do mailings for the office I worked at. We would return tax returns and tax paperwork and stuff back to the client. We had the same system, but I never made the label until I knew it was going out at least by the next morning, because there's a little button on those things that says, make this label, have the postman come and pick it up from your office or your house. If I had a whole bunch of stuff, I would just click that button, and the next morning the postman would come by and I would hand him like 15 tax returns, and he would leave with him and they would immediately be in the system to go. So there's easier ways to ship things than to just sit there and wait for somebody in your office to drive it to the post office and drop them off. That's just my little pet peeve and my little rant on Postal Service stuff. And I know the Postal Service is getting a little crazy here lately, but still, put it in the mail. Oh my gosh. At least get it started beyond the label. Oh, I also, before I show this next thing I did pick up some Pat's needles. People keep talking to me about Pat's needles, and I finally broke down and bought some. These are some number 26. I'm going to give them a try. Usually I use Bowens. I don't like John James. But I do want to try these. Everybody keeps telling me how great they are, and so I'm going to try some of those. Maybe I'll try them with the Prairie Master. Who knows? This is my next pattern to work on. Regardless of whatever else I have, this is going to be started when the fabric gets here. I do have to pick up a few more flosses, but I think I have all of them. I also am waiting for an order from my LNS on a couple of the beads. This is Mary, Deity of the Moon. She is gorgeous. She's also big. She is 160 stitches by 331, so she's very tall. I love her, and she is stitched on Cosmos by Bestitched Me. That's the fabric I'm waiting in. She is just gorgeous. I want to stitch her so bad, and when I saw it, I went, oh my God, look at her. She's beautiful, 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 beautiful. And I want to show you why. So hold on, I'll be right back. Hello. I don't know if I can show this all in one scene, but this is why I wanted to do Mary. Let's see. I have to kind of go back here. This is a picture done by my daughter, her senior year. She won a scholarship, a small one, but a scholarship for this painting. And we laugh because it's kind of a self-portrait. It looked a lot like her, except for the figure, when she was a senior in high school. And I think Mary and this picture together will complement each other so much. I had to go pull that off the wall in my front bedroom. And I have Angel of Morning above the bed. It's a lavender and lace angel. It's done with needle paints. It's gorgeous. I love it. It's one of the first things I ever finished. So good. Angel of Morning above the bed. This is on the corner wall down but near the foot. And when I finish Mary, deity of the, what is she? Deity of the moon. She's going to go at the foot of the bed. So I'll have Angel of the Morning and the deity of the moon in the same room facing each other. And it's going to be awesome. And I'm not a fast stitcher, but this is one I may actually put a lot of effort into finishing quickly. So please send me my fabric. I did pick up, as I said, I picked up some of the beads. There's some of the MarNics in there and stuff. I haven't made a bag for this yet. And so sorry about the crinkling. This was the little pouch. This actually came in and I just dropped all the floss and specialty things into it because I wanted to keep it all together. I was afraid I would start losing things. So those go together. Just with the fabric. That's all I need is fabric. So anyway, that is my haul. Making sure I didn't forget anything. Now, I'll show you some of the whips I have. I haven't finished anything in a while, but I have to admit, and a lot of people tell you, I tend to do big things. I don't. People always laugh at me when I go to the LNS. If we have a time period, we can go up there and stitch at the tables that they have set up there. They always laugh at me because they're working on things that are this big, and they will do 2 or 3 of them in 2 or 3 weeks. And 3 weeks later, I'm still working on the same piece, and it's still only this big, and it's supposed to be gargantuan. So they laugh at me because of that. But I have been working on my zipper stuck. Pandemic on Sundays with my Zoom meetings, which is where I met Sylvia. She's in charge of the Zoom. Please join in. We have a lovely time. And we're not all just Americans, so that's even better, is because we get to find out about other places too. And hello, Michelle and Elise. Michelle, I love yours. She's almost finished. She's using a special gold thread. It's from Greece. If I could get my hands on it, I would love some, but since I'm not going to Greece, I doubt I'll find it. And trying to find it by looking for Greek needlework, you get things up in Greek, and it's like, okay, this is not going to work. This is what I've done. This is touching multiple pages though. This is page 16. This is page 17. This little bunny is on page 18. And then this little section up in here is on page 11 because it's 5 pages across. So this is 11. This is 16. So I am working on this on Sundays. I'm doing 2 hours a week on this. So it's not a big rush for me. And I have decided to go ahead and put the other 20 on here just because the pandemic did start in 2020. I know a lot of people put the year that they finished there. But I have decided that COVID started in 2020. Or at least for us. I know in other countries it started in 2019. But for us it was 2020. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And I don't know if y'all remember what the pattern looked like. But that's it. And I am stitching it on 37 count Squash Blossom by Access Commodities. And I am using Sulky Redwork. The 12 weight is called Redwork. And it's a blended thread. They call theirs are not over dyed. Theirs are blended. So I do work on that on Sundays. Once in a blue moon, I've worked on it at home. Oh, excuse me, something's in my eye. Some things I have worked on it here at the house, not on a Sunday, but for the most part, it's on my Sunday afternoon stitch during the Zoom meetings. Then, like so many others, I did start coming to America, and so this is where I'm at. I have a headless pilgrim. She will probably have a head later today, since I plan on stitching. I have to go do a little laundry, and then I'll come back and stitch. But I have got her. I have my initials in. Woohoo! There they are. RC. I was stitching something one day, and they saw RC, and they said, "Why do you have an RC on your picture?" And I went, "Beg your pardon?" And they said, "Why do you have an RC?" And I said, "Well, those are my initials." And they said, "But your name is Becky." And I went, Becky is not my name. Becky is my nickname. My official name, of course, is Rebecca. And they were like, oh. I'm like, and I thought of that. I said, I never use B when I initial things. Anytime everybody's ever asked me to initial anything, it's always R. My initials are RLC, and there's no place for the L on that. It's just the RC. So I always go and do RC or RLC. I never do BC. And I have one thing that I have made that has a B on it. And goodness, what is on my eye? And so it kind of shocked me when they said, why was there an R? I was like, what do you mean, why is there an R? It's my name. And so it's something I always laugh about when I stitch my name on it now. And even my older pieces, where I actually remember to put my initial on it, because I don't always initial things, I was looking at them one day and went, oh yeah, everything's got a little teeny RC. And it's just the way it is. My daughter, who stitches, her initials before she got married were ARC. And she would make a little, like Noah's Ark, a little stylized Noah Ark with it. And she married a man whose last name was K. So she's still Ark, but now she's ARK instead of ARC. So the ARK now looks much more like the little arc she uses. So I don't think she had, no, she didn't put that on her picture. I had to look. She's got her full name on that one. But yeah, it was just one of those deals where we were laughing one day. I said, did you secretly look out for a guy who had the last name of K just so you could keep your arc? And she laughed. She did have one guy she dated for a while. His last name was with an S. And I said, I don't think you want to be an arse. And she started laughing. She goes, I hadn't thought of that. For the coming to America, I finally finished my own personal zip stitch bag. The cross stitch, the Coming to America bags that were on Brenda Gervais' site have been sold out now for, I guess, a couple of months. And there's an issue with getting more of them. I think she said they're still trying to get the fabric made. So I went ahead and made my own and found these ships. And this made me think of old weathered wood. And then, of course, I have a compass rose for my zipper pull, which this is kind of heavy. And the first time I put it on and I put it up on the table, it went clonk. And I was like, oh, okay, don't toss your bag up on the table with that zipper pull. And I love these ships. And I have to tell you something funny. I went to a quilt store in Rockport, Texas. And I figured if I was in Rockport, they should have nautical fabric. And they had some, but a lot of it was kind of childish. And I could have done the childish ones, but I really didn't want to do a childish bag for Coming to America because it was a serious subject. It's honoring 400 years of stitching. So I wanted something more elegant, so to speak. And I'm standing there and I'm getting the last of the fabric I was buying at that moment cut. And the lady said, did I find everything? I said, well, yeah, I said, but I was looking for something with ships. I just didn't see one didn't really see one that I was looking for. So she walks over and she pulls out the childish one. And she goes, you mean something like this? I said, no. I said, that's too cutesy. And she leans over. Mind you, not 10 minutes before I had been looking at that fabric. She leans over and pulls out the fabric directly next to it. And she goes, how about these ships? And I was like, oh my gosh. I said, I was just there. I never saw that bolt of fabric. So it's a good thing I asked because otherwise I would have missed these ships. I was showing it to somebody else and because she wants one of the bags too. But, you know, as I said, they've been sold out. And so she was excited that I was able to find something with ships on it. Now, I made this and then I thought, okay, because I thought about using my embroidery sewing machine and putting Coming to America across the top. But then I decided, no, I didn't want to do that because I could use it for other things. And I thought, it's such a nautical bag. Do I want to use it for something Christmassy? And I was like, yeah, no. And then it hit me. I have other patterns. They're nautical. I have Voyage from Satsuma. And I have actually started it. And I started it a while back, and I put it aside. I forget what I put it aside for. I think I was trying to finish up Death by Cross Stitch and the other pieces last year for the county fair. And I went trying to get everything finished and framed and everything, and it got put away, and I forgot about it. So Satsuma's Voyage is back. And I do remember I had made a mistake that I did fix already. This end of the boat, my boat was going to be cruise ship line or cruise ship size, because I just kept going. I was like, wait, no. This wave is not part of the ship, so I had to take out the white and come back and give it the correct shape. And this is for my grandson, Andrew. He is 9 years old, and he had his room decorated in pirates. They're getting ready to move though, and he is now 9. I think I started this when he was 7. When is the copyright on this? 2016, 4 years ago. Yes, he was 7ish. He'd already had his birthday, I think. So I was doing this for his pirate room. So I don't know if when they get into their new house, if he's still gonna have a pirate room, or Grandma, I don't do pirates anymore. So I'm kind of waiting to hear that, but that's okay. Then when I was looking at that, we're going, I do have more ships. I forgot. I have the Shannon Christine design. For this one, this is Midnight Sail, and this is not exceptionally big. This is 89 by 89, because you have to stitch all that white. And I think that's why I haven't done it yet. It was like, oh, because I love the waves. And these waves are in teals, and they have beads and silver krynic and stuff. And that to me was just, this portion here just told me, oh, you must stitch this. I'm not looking forward to the moon, but it is what it is. And I did buy, is it called for this, or did I just buy it because of it? I bought I guess you're just supposed to put it on a gray fabric. I did buy a gray. This is Gunmetal. I forget who does gun. It's 32 count. The actual picture was done on 14 count, but I picked a 32 count, and I like this color. So this is going to be Midnight Sail. So I do have 2 other, and I have not started. As you can see, I haven't started it. I bought it one night. A cross stitch store does a midnight stitch, and you can go. You have to sign up, and it's $5. And you go in at 10. You can go in at 10 o'clock in the morning. You don't have to, but you go in. The store opens at 10 on Saturday, and it's always on a Saturday. And you go in at 10, and you stitch until midnight. And people come and go, but there are some of us who are crazy, and we stitched the 14 hours. And the store stays open on those nights until basically midnight. They'll close out sometimes around 11:30 or so. But that way, you're sitting there for so many hours, and you only take 1 or 2 projects with you. And you may decide, I cannot stitch anymore on this project at all today. And I think I bought this when I was working on Death by Cross Stitch. And, blue after a while, because my Death by Cross Stitch is all blue, gets a little old after a while. And I think I had been stitching on blue for like 9 hours, and I was like, okay, I can't do blue anymore. Gotta do something else. And if I remember correctly, I had not taken anything else because I was going to work on my piece. So I got up and meandered around the store and came across this ship, and I love those waves, and so I bought it and kitted it all up. And if you kit a whole project up, all the floss, fabric, and pattern, Stitches from the Heart will give you a little discount. Not a lot, but a little discount. I don't want to tell you how much, just in case they change. And I bought it, got all excited, put it down, and went back to stitching on Death by Cross Stitch. But it got me up out of my chair. I moved around. I touched fabrics, played with things, and I just didn't stitch on it. So who knows? I'm just weird that way. Now, let me come back to, I said earlier we would come back to Sylvia. She received 2 patterns that were identical. She has a PDF and she had the paper. She prefers PDFs. And she has very graciously offered for us to be able to give away her paper copy. And she is giving us a sign from heaven. She offered to let me stitch it first, but I don't do big birds. As I said in the last video, I'm not a big bird fan. The little teeny cardinals that I'm stitching on from the Redwork Designs, which, you know, they put a little teeny cardinal in all their patterns, that's big enough for me. This big, no bigger. So this one, I don't know if you're familiar with the story. It says, when a cardinal appears, a loved one from heaven is near. In Texas lore, and I understand it may be in other places also. If you've had someone pass away recently and a cardinal appears shortly after their death, or it comes near the house and hangs out for a while, that's your loved one checking on you and also letting you know they're okay. Because a cardinal is a beautiful bird, and you see them and they're bright and they're happy looking, and so it makes you feel better. And this is just one of those kind of things. She is doing it for someone else, and she bought this, she said, and it didn't come, so she reordered it as the PDF and got working on it, and then the pattern finally showed up a couple of weeks later. So she has offered this. If you will send me a message in the down below and make a message that says cardinal in it, C-A-R-D-I-N-A-L, cardinal, and let me know why you want to stitch this, and we'll have a drawing for it on my next video to see who's going to get this. Don't say giveaway, don't say free, regular Flosstube rules. I would love whoever gets this to want to stitch this. Now, I'm a pattern hoarder. I mean, if you go through my stuff, you're like, you're never going to stitch all these things. It's like, yes, but I have the pattern, and that's what I wanted, is I had to have the pattern. I have bought a Heaven and Earth design pattern, never to stitch it, because God knows I'll never get that thing done. But I wanted the picture, and to have the picture, I had to buy the pattern. So I have the whole pattern. I just never will stitch it. So please want to stitch this, especially if you've had someone that you've recently lost. I mean, I could stitch this technically for my dad and give it to my mom, but my mom has enough stuff on her wall. She doesn't need another bird on her wall either. Now, she does have birds at her house. I can honestly say that unless it's a bird in Death by Cross Stitch, which did have a few birds, I don't have any birds hanging up in my house. Oh, excuse me. There's peacocks and birds in the picture behind me. But yes, I'm not a bird person. Not at all. So I wouldn't stitch birds. No Halloween, no birds. But that's pretty much all I have. And here I said I like short videos, and I've definitely gone over what I consider a short video length. If you're having to bunker down right now because of Tropical Storm Beta, I understand I'm supposed to be doing a lot of flooding. Please be careful. Be safe. Don't be traveling in this weather. Always amazes me. We'll have major storms, and the roads are dangerous, and people are drowning, and people want to get out and drive around and look around. It's like, oh my God, stay home. Don't go out in this. Don't you become a casualty or someone who has to be rescued and put officers and firemen in harm's way. Please be careful if you're in the fire areas. I can laugh in hindsight now. The other day, last week, Portland, Oregon had the worst air on the face of the earth due to the fires. I mean, it was all over the news and everything that Portland, Oregon was that bad. And my son-in-law, his parents live in Oregon, and I wasn't exactly sure where, but I thought it was near Portland. And I sent him a message, and I said, "Are your parents okay?" And he says, "Yeah, I talked to them the other day, they're fine." And I said, "Have you not been keeping tabs of what's going on?" He goes, "Oh, they're far away from the fire, they're fine." And I went, "Okay." And I said, I was just concerned because I knew this stuff was going on in Portland. I said, "Well, where do they live?" And he said, "They live in Portland." And I said, "You need to call your parents." He calls his parents. I get a message back later on. They're okay. Yes, Portland was bad air. The fire got within 5 miles of their house. And I'm like, God, check on your parents. My son-in-law, that particular son-in-law, he's the youngest of the 3 in-law children that I have, and he makes me roll my eyes a lot of times. But oh well, it is what it is. Y'all be safe. Have a great day stitching. Enjoy yourself. As I said, it's not a pretty day here because we've got the overcast skies from the edges of beta. I can't say that. Here, but it has cooled us down. So we're in the 70s, and in San Antonio in September, that is just almost unheard of, is to be this cool. I have the house opened up. The curtains are actually wafting in the air because there's a breeze blowing, so it's very nice. And I hope you have the kind of day where you can open up your house and just enjoy the breezes and feel the good. And I know people like to stitch outside, but every time I go outside, the mosquitoes show up, the flies show up, and the ants get me. So I will open up the house and sit near a window and stitch so I can feel the breezes. But y'all have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. And as I said, send me a message about the cardinal and put cardinal as the key word, so I'll look for it. And have a great day. Bye.